So to access Adobe Captivate, you can go to their website at adobe.com and look for it and download a trial version, or you can use a Seneca version. We have a full license. To do that, you have to go to a site called myapps.senecacollege.ca/login. And when you go to that, and you have to be very patient with this, it takes time, you'll see this login. And just log in with your Seneca credentials, same as my Seneca, and just wait for a while. Now you have to check this here, click this button, Open Apps Anywhere Launcher. And if you're doing this for the first time, it might ask you to download something. It's perfectly safe, it's coming from Seneca. But once you're in, you want to search for Adobe Captivate or just Captivate. Now it's Captivate 11. Click Launch. And again, you probably will get this again, the Open Apps Anywhere Launcher. Keep doing that. And here you really have to wait because first of all, the software is quite large and depending on your internet speed, etc. But once it's in, you can start working on it. So just give it some time. So the third authoring tool that we're going to look at is Adobe Captivate. It's quite interesting. It's more linear in nature. It doesn't have the same functionality as course sites. If you're looking for a course management system that can keep track of users, keep track of grades, a lot of interactive communication, collaborative type of features. That's not what Captivate does, but Captivate is pretty good in that it gives you a slide-by-slide training or learning development approach or method where users can just go right into it, look at the content, experience it, the text, the images, the video, the audio, maybe even a little quiz in there somewhere, but not have too much connection otherwise. Now here's the cool part. If you remember, I laid out my storyboard, my vision for my e-learning, which is to train people on how to do a pre-flight check on a small aircraft. I laid it out in PowerPoint and I just shortened it a little bit just so that we can convert it quickly. But I am happy with this design. The only thing I did is wherever a video would appear, I just put like a little placeholder here. And just so that I could quickly insert, because a lot of things that are in PowerPoint won't come across in Captivate. But here's the cool part. If you have a PowerPoint, then you can easily import it into Captivate, okay? You're not going to get any sort of transitions or so on. So for example, this slide, if you wanted the users to see each paragraph or each sentence at a time, make sure it's split into different slides, right? Like the first paragraph in one slide, the second paragraph in another, okay? And you can have hundreds of slides, it's not a problem. So I've saved this, I'm going to close it, and there we go. Now, when you go to Adobe Captivate, couple ways to get there. You can get a 30-day trial version from adobe.com, or I just showed you instructions on how to use it for use it directly through the Seneca environment. If that doesn't work for you, then download the free trial, which is what I'm using right now. So here's the thing, when you open up Adobe Captivate, you get several choices. Now I don't want you to worry. Okay, look, there's a lot of things in Adobe Captivate. People spend years trying to become perfect at this. What we're going to do is have a look at it from our own project point of view, just to get you in the game, just to get you interested and excited. And then over the next few months or years, you can now delve into more of the higher end graphics and the interactions and so on, okay? So first of all, we do want to use from PowerPoint because we're going to import it, but an option is to start with the blank project, and that's just like starting a PowerPoint slideshow. It gives you blank slides, you add things to it, text, images, videos, audio, etc. You're not going to do a video demo. That's like recording some sort of video. Software simulation is allowing you to record the screen. Let's say you're teaching Excel and you want to show step by step. I think Camtasia Studio is better for that. You can use later on a responsive project. Please don't for this, for our purposes. You can change these features later anyways. Responsive project is simply where you develop something to be used on cell phones, tablets, desktops, etc. It's called fluid boxes. It just changes the side proportionately. Don't go there just yet. And then the last thing is a virtual reality project, which is not something we're doing, although if you feel that your e-learning could use a 360 view, like a bubble 360 all around you with some words on it, then let me know. We'll figure something out. I've got the equipment. I could shoot a scene for you, but right now don't do it. Okay, just leave it for now. I'll demonstrate. So I'm going to go to From PowerPoint, click Create, choose my PowerPoint slides, which is right here. And when it finishes converting the slides, it's optimizing things, okay, for size and whatever. The only choices here you have to pick, like don't touch any of these. These are optimized for screen size, but it's down here. How do you want the slides to go forward for the user? Do you want them to be able to control it by clicking the mouse, or do you want them to go automatically? Now you have to be careful here, because if you say one slide should be up for 15 seconds, how do you know all your learners can digest the content within 15 seconds? It might be too slow for some people, might be too fast for some people. So I prefer the on mouse click approach. We're going to click OK. And there we go. So this is in the Captivate environment. Looks very much like PowerPoint. Look at this. All my slides are in. They look pretty good. I'll just take a quick look. The only thing that's annoying, it gives you this little click box. So you might want to just go on each slide. Just click on click box and delete. All right, you might want to do this several times. Just click, delete, and don't show this. Done. Okay. I'm not sure what the consequence of leaving it there are, except that I think it's good to just get rid of it. So I'll just quickly go to each slide. See, it doesn't take long. So here's the thing. If all you do is have this as your Captivate project, that's good. You're not adding anything else to it. You can easily just go and preview it, have a look, play with it, you're good to go, or even publish it. But I want to show you a few things. Okay, first of all, I like this. My first slide is good. I think I want to add some music just in the first slide, maybe narrate the first slide. Users always like to hear your voice. So let me show you both. I'm going to go to the slide, go to the top right where it says Properties, and you'll see a bunch of choices here. Now I want you to play around with choices. Don't worry, you're not going to break the system. For example, project background. Notice it says project. What you do here goes for the whole project. Hey, look, you imported this from PowerPoint. So there is no other background. Backgrounds are only if you created slides from scratch. Then you might want to choose a background, okay? But if I go to, let's say, options, I can now add audio. So I'm going to click add audio. Now look at this. For the slide, I can either import audio in. So if I recorded a narration before, I could bring that narration in. I could add just music, random music, or I could start recording my voice right now. And the cool thing is it'll adjust the size of the slide accordingly, okay? So if you wanted to welcome people with your own voice, no problem, start recording. You can also do it through Powtoon or Voki. The voice is already there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add what we call system audio down here, import system audio. And there's also a library as well if you already had audio uploaded. So I'm going to go there, and I found this one called End. Click Open, and there we go. You can play it. Okay, fine, I like that. Now I'm going to click Save. Look what happens. It's going to say your audio is 4.8 seconds, but your slide was only 3 seconds. So I'm going to say, yep, adjust the size, close, and we're good to go. So take a look. If I'm on my first slide and I go over to timing, it is 4.8 seconds. And I could add a transition right here. So that's between slides. Okay, let's do a fade. Again, try these out. I don't know what a fade does, but you have to try it out. If I go to slide number 2, take a look. Under timing, it's 3 seconds. Now, does it matter that it's 3 seconds? Not really, because you're allowing a user to click to go forward. That slide duration only means something if you're running the slideshow automatically, okay? Now, I'm going to turn properties off, get rid of that. You see where I have my Powtoon placeholder? I can't delete that part of it. That's part of my slide. But on top of it, I'm going to put my Powtoon, okay? So you go up to Media, go to Video. I'm going to Browse, and my video is right here. It's got a good name. and I'm going to click OK. Now it's going to be huge because I did not produce this video for Captivate. I'm trying to do all the different projects to show you. But if I were to use it for Captivate exclusively, I would have produced with those right dimensions, okay? But there we go. That wasn't hard. So that's the size of my Powtoon. I think it's good. I think next time if I produce Powtoon, I'd probably put a nice title slide, except just a guy waving his hand. Okay, so that's pretty good. That's my Powtoon. I could put additional words here on the side describing what this Powtoon is or what this video is. And to do that, you go up to text, text caption, and you could just type in here, this is an introduction video. Now that's not the words I would put for my e-learning, of course, right? But take a look at my text box. I can make it bigger, smaller, and yes, you can change the font and the size and so on. There we go. So maybe a little blurb about what's included in the video, right? That would lay out over here. Now, let's keep going. That looks good. That looks good. I've got a little suggested schedule for my users, prerequisites, objectives. And I don't want this particular slide. I don't think I need to remind my people what the different sessions are. So you can easily just delete a slide, no problem. See? Now I'm going to go to my first lesson. My first lesson is called Aircraft Documentation, More Aircraft Documentation, and then I've got a video. So let me insert the actual demonstration video, Media, Video, Browse, and it will be right there, Flight 1. So name them properly. Click OK. Again, it'll come out pretty big. Just be careful with the size here. Try to keep the proportions. Of course, you're going to test this several times to make sure it looks good. But just ask yourself, what does the user want to see? How big should it be? No problem. There we go. Now, in my PowerPoint, I actually had a link to a transcript, which is a PDF document. So I put a logo. Those links don't come across. Okay. What I do is, recommend is that you upload any documents you want your user to view, upload them to a website or a Dropbox like Google Docs or Office 360 Docs, whatever media. But in this case, I want to show you how to replace that to become a link. Now, you can create original links. You can import buttons. So if you had a button, just do media image. You can create a shape like a button and make that a button. But what I'm going to do is make an automatic button. Click Interactions, Button, and it'll show up right there. You see that? Looks kind of plain, I get it. Let's move it on top. And you can have buttons anywhere, okay? And there we go. So there's my button. I'm going to click on it. Go to Properties. Now, first of all, the style of the button. You can play around with some of these items here, the font color. You know, if you wanted to make the font color a little bit blue, that's okay. And I'm pretty sure you can change the background and so on. And you can even make it transparent like that, right? What do you want the button to be called? I'm going to call it Transcript. Okay, that's good right there. Now, when you click on the button, what is it going to do? That's the action, right? So you click on the button here, go to Actions, and there's a whole bunch of actions that you can choose. And by the way, don't worry about these things. If it's not of interest to you, it's not going to help you, you don't know what it is, let it go. That comes later. Look, people spend years learning this thing. I told you, right? But the action that I want is to open a URL or a file. Now, a URL would be the HTTP www link, which is what I'm recommending. Have your documents on a website. But in my case, I have a document right here. I'll tell you what the problem is by doing this, and it's called Session 1 Transcript. And I'm going to click this arrow, and I'm going to open it up new. Now, the problem I'll tell you is that when you view this in a browser, the actual e-learning, when you click on the link, it'll replace the e-learning, go to the document, but then when you click back, it goes to the beginning of your e-learning. So it's better to have it on some sort of a website, okay? So there we go. Now, I'm going to go down and add additional boxes. So you can do that. So right after this video, I want to add something else. Now, why would you add something else? Let me tell you. Look, You might have forgotten some content. You might want to put some links to websites, for example, a quiz, for example. If it's content you want to add, I recommend you go back to your PowerPoint, add the slides there, common look and feel, and then import those slides one by one here, okay? But let me show you either way. Look, click where you want the slide, so it'll appear below where you click. Go to the top left where it says slides, and you can add a content slide or a blank slide. It's the same thing, all right? Here, I'll add a content slide, looks blank, and you add content, that's up here. I can add a blank slide, looks the same, got it? So I'm just gonna delete one of these. I don't need both. But on this content slide, you can put text, you can put shapes, okay? Don't worry about objects right now. You can put interactions like a button. Later you can play with drag and drop items. You can put media, an image, audio, video, okay, animation if you know how to create your own animations. But you can put things like characters. These are pretty cool. And if you don't like these characters, these are pretty nifty. You can go up here to get free e-learning assets. There's a whole bunch more characters, but I like this character here. You can go close up, half, full. I'm going to insert. And if you're trying to tell a story and you want your learner to be part of the narrative and identify with characters, she's a pretty good character. She can be there on different slides, and as people see them, consciously or subconsciously, the ideas register with that particular image, right? So you can put that in there. I can put, like I said, videos and so on. Okay, don't worry about the other stuff. It's okay for now. Don't worry. But I've got that, and I'm going to put some text. So let's put text caption. I'll put, let's say, Transport Canada. I want people to look at a website, and the website will be www.transport.gc.ca. Now, the text box doesn't look right. I get it. Make it bigger. Let's move it over here. Let's say you're going to have a bunch of them. Now, click on the text box, go to Properties, and take a look. You can change some of the properties here as well, right? The color. Let's say you want it to be black. You can change whatever the highlight is. See? I mean, I don't like that myself, but don't. So what do you want this text box to do? If you wanted to go to that specific website versus just looking at it, you would have to insert a shape on top of it or a button, and then make that button interactions button, and then make that button transparent, and that's how you get a hyperlink on top of it, right? So you highlight, go over here to Properties, Style, and make it transparent. So get rid of the caption so it doesn't show up. Now, when you go to Actions, do URL, and over here paste, I'll just type it in, http www.transport.gc.ca. Okay, there we go. And let's open it in a new tab. So play around with that. This looks ugly. I'm just trying to demonstrate for you. I'm not going to take hours fine-tuning this, but you can. You can add images on here. For example, if you wanted a picture of an airplane, I'm just going to put this airplane on here. There we go. You can do that as well. Make it your own and change the background in that case. Now, in addition to this slide, which I'm going to delete this one. I don't want it as part of my presentation. Let's say I wanted to have a quiz right after the video. I would go to Slides and Question Slide. Now, don't mess with Knowledge Check Slide just yet, or Software Simulation or anything like that. Let's just go to Question Slide. And this is pretty standard. It's going to ask you what types of questions do you want. So if you don't know any of these questions, what they are, play with them, try them, see if they work for your e-learning and your audience. If they don't do it just for the sake of doing it. But let's say I want a multiple choice question, true, false, and I'll do a fancy one called a hotspot, right? Now I'm going to put one multiple choice, one true, false, and one hotspot. You can change these and leave them as graded. That doesn't really matter, okay? Now what happens is if you chose 5 multiple choice, it will create 5 slides. So it's 1 question per slide, okay? In this case, I'm going to get 3 additional slides. Have a look. You see here, I've got 1 for multiple choice, 1 for true, false, 1 for hotspot, and one extra slide to show the user how well they did. All right, let's go to the first one. Let's see. I'm going to type my question. Who regulates Canadian airspace? Okay, that's a pretty good question. First one, I'm going to call it the UN, United Nations, maybe, I don't know. Okay, the Transport Canada, probably. Now, there's only two options. That's kind of odd. So I'm going to go over here to the right, Properties, go to Quiz, and it's going to give you a choice. How many questions and possible answers do you want? And standard, I think, is 4. You can go up to 5. And a few choices here about shuffling answers. Now you're not going to build this to trick people. You know, you got 10 students, they might cheat off each other. No, you're not going to do that. Multiple answers, so am I going to allow just one answer or many? So I'll say, no, just one. And forget about the score. But if you want it, you can say this is just worth 1 mark, okay? How do you want to number it? And it's actually going to show you correct and incomplete. It'll just give you automatic messaging, okay? And do you want to limit the time a person spends on this quiz? Not really. I don't think that fits in with our andragogy, okay? So let me type in a couple more responses here. Now, what's the correct answer? I'm going to say Transport Canada. Got it? Now let's go to the next one, which is a true false, and I'm going to say, is a Cessna 172 single engine? Now, is it true or is it false? Yes, it's true. It is a single engine. Good. Not much else here to change. However, let me just tell you, if you wanted to, you can enhance the slide because it looks very plain right now, right? You can enhance it by putting additional text. If you wanted a logo at the top, images over here, you can do stuff. Play around with it. Now, the third type of question is a hotspot. Now, I don't know if you ever used a hotspot. It's pretty cool. Course Sites Blackboard lets you do it as well. A couple of funny things though. You have to get rid of a few things up here. All right. See this gray box? That's just your question. And unfortunately, if you try to put a picture on top of it, it'll show up behind. So I'm just going to make this smaller. Okay. So in this space here, I want to type in my, put in my image so that I can create a hotspot. So let's go Media, Image, and it could be a picture, it could be a diagram, it could be anything. Cessna, open, and there we go. Okay, so let's make that size properly sized. Oops, sorry, not that one. Just click out here, make it about that big. And what I want the user to do is identify something on this airplane, right? So if I wanted to have them identify 6 things on this airplane, I would create 6 different questions, one for each thing. So I want them to identify something like this. Look, click on the rudder. Got it? Click on the rudder. Now, how do you know where the rudder is? Well, the rudder is right here. How do you know that'll be the right answer? Unfortunately, it's hidden down here. You see it says hotspot? It's kind of weird, isn't it? You click it, move it up, and just size it reasonably. Okay, just size it reasonably. And again, do you want the person to pinpoint exactly, or do you want to be a little bit flexible in terms of zone? And if I had the tires, I'd be very specific about it. But that's the right answer. As long as a person clicks somewhere in here, I'll just make it a bit smaller. There we go. Then you're okay. Now you notice that white outline that shows up on the shape? You probably want to get rid of it, and that's called a stroke. And we will just make it, and the width will be 0. Okay, perfect. Good. And it disappears. Now, good. I think I like it. You can almost get rid of these words here if you don't want them. Now, the next thing I want to show you is how to add a table of contents. So right now, if you look at this, and I'm just going to preview it for you. You go to Preview. I want to see it in, let's try this. Let's show it as a project. Now, as you're building this, you want to preview often, okay? And you can always close the preview. It's not going to damage anything. But take a look. This is the SWF version. I believe that's what it's called. It's called the Flash version of Captivate, and this is what your users would see. Exactly that little box. They have potential to navigate forward quickly. They can go back and forth using these buttons, or just sit back and play. Now, I didn't add my Powtoon. Oh yeah, I did. I did add my Powtoon. So anyway, let's go to the first slide. I'm going to click play. See the music we added? Now, it automatically took me to the next slide, right? I'm going to click play. Okay, so we've seen the Powtoon. I go forward, and you might want to put this in your about the course. Explain to people what to do with the audio. They can turn it off and so on. So I'm going to go forward, 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 forward. There you go. There's my transcript. This is my second video. Again, we've seen it, so I'm going to forward. Let's see. Let's try to answer this. I'm going to go with UN. Submit. Incorrect. Oh, too bad. Going to make me go to the next question. Single engine, it's true. Yes, submit. Oh, I got it right. And there we go. Where is the rudder? I think it's back here. So I'm going to click on it and submit. And just wait. There we go. So I got 20 out of 21 because the last question was worth 10 marks, I believe, or 2 questions were worth 10, and it's 95%. So I'm going to continue, and it goes forward with the rest of the slides. Okay, so let me close this. The other option, of course, is to preview in HTML5 browser, and I'll tell you, if you're going to add any 360 images, those ones where you can scroll around all around you, don't do project. It won't work. You have to do it in a browser. Now, when you're finished this project, what's the difference? The difference is if you just did project, it's pretty much one file you send me. If you did browser, it's a bunch of folders and files that you have to send to me, or publish them on a website and send the link out. Okay, so one last thing I want to show you, or two things actually. One is how to put a menu. You notice there is no navigation menu for the user on the side. I'm actually going to put in a menu. So you go to project, table of contents, menu, and you click show TOC. Now, here's the thing. Slide 1, slide 2, slide 3 doesn't really mean anything. So you might want to go in and rename each slide. Just double click on it, and I'll call this intro start. The second one, I'll call it intro. You might want to copy and paste. Welcome. Third one is intro about the course. So whatever each slide is called, and by the time I get to, let's say, slide, and that will be slide 11. So take a look. Okay, so aircraft, documentation, intro. I'm just going to copy that. Oh, just highlight it this way. There we go. And my next slide, see, now I'm going to remember, this is called a demo. Actually, no, this is also intro. The next one is demo. Slide 12 is demo. And it's got a theme going. So when a person looks at the table of contents, they can see these are my intro slides. This is the documentation. This one would be a quiz. So this will be called aircraft documentation quiz, right? And the next few will be quizzes. I think you get the idea, right? Now you might want to click on settings just to see if you want to play around with some of the color schemes and so on. But like I said, if you've chosen to use PowerPoint slides, the background comes across anyway, so you can't really modify it. And play around with overlay versus separate. I'm just going to try overlay. I don't know what it does till I try it. I'm going to click OK. And you can go to info and fill out some of this information, which is highly recommended, right? There we go. So close it. I'm going to keep saving this file. So I'm going to say save as, just to let you know where it goes. It goes in my aviation folder. Keep saving a lot. Okay, good. Now, one last thing. I can preview it. I'm good to go. And just remember, this is enough for you to do the project for my class. to become really good at it, and I recommend it. If you think learning and development is going to be your thing, then I highly recommend you learn the heck out of this. Watch a lot of YouTube videos, just get forward. I can help you as well. And also there's another software called Articulate Storyline that you want to become good at. Plus you'll become good at Blackboard and maybe even Udemy, right? One last thing just for demonstration. We keep talking about virtual reality and 360. Not a requirement, but if you think it can help, here's what you can do. I'm going to go to the end. Actually, no, you know what? Yeah, let's just go to the end. I'm going to go to slides and do a 360 slide. So it's just a blank slide, correct? Except it's asking you, where is your image? Do you want to add an, of course you want to add a 360 image. Now these are not just images taken from your regular phone. Although you can get an app where you just shoot images all the way around you and it stitches them into a bubble, you need a proper camera where you take one picture, it shoots all the way around you 360 by 360. Let me show you something I've got, okay? I'm going to import. Now I've got one under my flight folder, and you notice this is sort of what they look like. I'll just enlarge that a bit, make it extra large. They're pretty much just 360 footage of aircraft, and I'm going to use the first one. Open, and there we go. Look what I can do. I can move around. There we go, and I could have a starting point. So Captivate's kind of limited on the 360 side. They just introduced it late last year, but you can do things like add text on top of it. And this might not work in your preview, but let me just try it. So I want to just put in a little caption here called rudder. Right, there we go. So you can't really see it, but if you go here, you can make the color, let's say red, and the highlight, which is a background, maybe yellow. Okay, that might work. Change the font, the colors, and I'll move it to a spot where the rudder is. Let's just say right there. Notice it shows up kind of slanted, but that's how 360 works. I can also add additional images on here or characters. The only thing is if you add a character, you can't really manipulate it too much in terms of size, and they kind of do come up at an angle. But let's just say she's talking to you. You can narrate this slide. That's pretty good. She's asking you, where's the rudder? Or the rudder's behind me. Okay. If you use 360 though, you're limited in terms of how you can actually publish this. Okay. So when you're ready and all good to go, you previewed it. If you go to publish and you publish the computer, that will work unless you use 360 images. So take a look. Okay. I'm going to publish it as HTML5 Swift. Doesn't matter. That's what it's called. That's my folder. I'm going to go to aviation folder, and there we go. Okay. Let's see what happens. It's going to give me an error message, right? It's going to expire, and this one actually is working, so I'm happy. Good. Hey, that's pretty cool. It is working. Sometimes I get a message that says 360 images won't work. Oh, there you go. Click OK. And do you wish to view the output? Yes. Now don't forget, you can also preview it as well. So it's going to show me the output in HTML5, which is in a browser. Okay, so let's play. And I can always go forward directly. There's my Powtoon video if somebody wants to see it. Go forward, read, 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 read. I'm just going to go forward. Obviously, I'm not taking the course. I'm teaching it. There's my other video. It works, trust me. And after this, what happens? I get my quiz. So I'll say Transport Canada. I think I can get perfect on this. True. Click. Rudder. Submit. Correct. Oh, cool. Well, yeah, I got 100%. Continue. And or you can review the quiz and you go forward. So let me go all the way to the end and look at my 360. Usually you'll get a message from your browser if you want to allow virtual reality access, and take a look. So the only missing part is that image didn't show up, but like I said, there's a couple of issues because it's pretty new. But that's not bad. If you want to narrate this and tell a person to go to the left, you know, I want to show you where the fire protection stuff is. Go to the right, there's another airplane. It's not bad. I think, yeah, I think we have enough to play with. Just experiment, try different things, and publish. And at the end, choose just publish to computer. Now, what do the files look like? Let's have a look. Okay, let's go to my desktop, aviation, and I believe it's this one here. So do you see what happens? It's got all of these files, and your transcript is also there. You need to publish these on some sort of a web space. I don't expect you to pay for it for this course, so what you can do is just zip this and send it to me, and I will simply just double click on index and enjoy. See, there we go. That's how cool it is. Okay, so have some fun with it. Let me know if you have any questions.